Okay, hi and welcome. Here we are, the focus group for Austin Liftoff 2021. Great stuff. We're joined today by 4 filmmakers that are currently, I say streaming with us, I guess that's the right term, streaming with us in the festival. And we want to start off, just kind of introduce yourselves, introduce your film, and say a few things about the films that are currently in this group that you've watched, and say something nice about them. Let's see if we can go from that sort of start on a really high positive and just get more positive as we go along throughout the whole conversation. All right, cool. Should we start with Ian and then just go across to David and then down to Emiliano and then over to Byron? Cool.
Hi, my name is Ian Brodsky. I'm coming at you from New York, New York. My contribution is a web series called A Show About Coworkers. It's a show about coworkers, and what I've really enjoyed just watching everyone else's films in here. I know it's a little bit general, but it's really cool to see how everybody else's minds work, because seeing these stories that appear in your mind and getting them out there, like I remember watching these all and being like, I would never think of that. Like, that's really something special. Like Byron's yours was like nice and suspenseful, and like I'm just seeing CWG Media. I'm sorry, I totally forget your name right now.
David.
Dave, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
I'm off to a great start. But I remember watching your film about this family and just like being so touched by it, because it was just something so outside of myself, and it was really beautiful to be watching those stories. So thank you guys.
Cool.
Absolutely. Well, I'm David Wheeler, and my business partner Zane and I basically started a media company where this is actually our second short film, and we produced a feature before this. And this short film is really a continuation of the first one that was called Bending in the Wind. And basically this is the continuation of the main character's kind of story behind himself, and kind of how he became who he is. And really we're creating a series of these short films, and hopefully maybe turning that into a series at some point.
Oh, interesting.
But basically, we just are really excited to be here, and watching the other films. Ian, I really enjoyed kind of the creativity and the comedy of yours, and really how it was shot in kind of such a small space that it was just interesting how you made it all in that one little kind of area. And I really liked how it just the comedy and the interaction between the different characters. Emiliano, I really enjoyed Ramón, and I really thought it was creative how you kind of used the sort of archival footage and everything to kind of create this story about the mannequin, and just how kind of completely out of the box it was. And I really curious how you came up with the idea in the first place. Really enjoyed that. And then Byron, the experiment, I thought that was an interesting concept, how basically there was no talking, it was all just sort of done, with expressions and everything, and the suspense sort of created in that, silence.
Great. Emiliano?
Yes. Hi, my name is Emiliano Fajardo. I'm from Mexico. Right now I'm in Mexico City. I really liked my film is called Ramón. It's a short documentary about an incredible poet, and I really like everybody's work here. I really thought it was really creative. Ian, I like the comedy, and I also do comedy, so I know it's very hard to do, very hard to do.
So
and
hard.
I think it was really great, and I really like that it was just like a small place with a lot of characters, and you can really know the characters, and that was really amazing. And Byron,
Thank you.
The experiment was I really like that it has no dialogue. That was really amazing, and it kept you. You want to see what happened next, and I really like the performances and the cinematography. I think the cinematography is really, really well done, and really great short film. And Dave, it's a very tough subject in your short film, and I think it was really well done. The performances, I think the performances are all in that short film. Both actors are really, really, really good, and to really take on that subject is also really like hard, and I think it's really well done.
Thank you.
And so yeah.
Wow. All right, how can I add on to
Imagine
this?
if you don't talk now because you can't, because it's like you're just a silent movie. That'd be so cool.
So I'm Byron. I made this mystery thriller film called The Experiment about two test subjects who have to live alone in a house together and see if they can live peacefully or if it's even possible. So in terms of the other films, David, I really love the cinematography in your film. You do these incredible dolly shots, which are some of my favorite kind of shots. And it also, I mean, in general, the film just really touched me. Great film. Emiliano, I thought your interview style was really well done. You even had some like filters and colorful backgrounds behind the subjects, which really kept me engaged. And Ian, as someone who's worked in the food industry as a worker myself, I mean, it was just such a relatable story that you told. I absolutely enjoyed it.
Great stuff. Great. Okay, well, let's talk about something that's a little bit on the darker side of things then. Obstacles. So things that during the production that you guys experienced personally or with the team experienced or something like that you felt was really, really challenging, but you managed to overcome it. Yeah, let's just start again in the same order and just see what we can uncover.
Excuse me. I think like the biggest obstacle for me, this being sort of the first production that I was in charge of, I mean, all the obstacles for me came from scheduling all of these people to come together. Anything that Dapper Devil Productions, the collective that I help run, everything we've done before that has taken place in one of our apartments. So coordinating the availability of this coffee shop, which is a functioning open business that is still open today, thank God.
Wow.
The scheduling matrix of it all was definitely the biggest challenge for this. Luckily, most of the other ideas, the people, a lot of it came together pretty seamlessly for me, and I'm very lucky in that that I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, my biggest challenge was like, I just hope everyone's available on June 5th. I would say that was the biggest obstacle, was just like feeling like I could make it all happen all together. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I guess for us, there were kind of a couple of challenges. One, we decided we would try to shoot this in 2 days. So we basically did it in 2 14-hour days. And the real challenge was the wind. Basically, we had this kind of insane windstorm for basically the 2 full days where we were having about 30-mile-an-hour winds outside. And to get the shots out on the dock, to get the shots on the boat, which obviously was a major part of the film, was a major challenge. We had about a 30-minute window where the wind finally died down and we were able to get out on the boat and get the shots that we needed. And so we worked it out and got it done. And this was the first film that I've done all the cinematography on as well. And so just, the experience with that and having to do it all, and it was definitely a challenge, but it made it easy for me in the edit because I knew what I had shot and everything. I had no one else to blame but myself.
Emiliano.
Yes, my biggest challenge maybe it is a very low budget film, so I only work with my sister. My sister was the cinematographer.
Right.
So maybe working with my sister was the biggest challenge because we have so very bad temperaments, and but the good thing she's my sister, so
Yeah.
that was. But also it was it is my first film, so I didn't know any post production, like any, and so my sister helped me a lot, and so maybe that was the biggest challenge for me, at least. The film it was quite easy. I did know what I was doing, so maybe that was I learned a lot of post production, and the film is really quite easy to make. That's why I chose to shoot it as a documentary. So I think that was, for me, the biggest challenge. Was luckily I learned a lot, and maybe in my next films I'm going to use what I learned.
Well, at least there's going to be a next film. That's the most important thing, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. We've had a couple of people join us, and we'll get through to you guys in a second, but we're just going to listen to Byron's answer to this question, which is about the major hurdles that they've experienced in the film so far. So, Saruram, if I'm saying your name correctly, and Kirtana. Is it Kirtana? Yeah, Kirtana. If you could just explain to us, just give us an introduction to yourselves. This is after Byron's had his chance to speak as well. And then we'll do a brief introduction, and then you guys can talk about the challenges that you faced with making your films, and we'll go from there. Yeah, so Byron, you got the floor.
One of the biggest challenges I had was, how do I communicate information just visually, like without dialogue?
Yeah.
And what I found, originally my film wasn't supposed to be like 17 minutes. I had written like 5 pages in final draft. And then what I found is that when you have 5 pages of descriptions, each page amounts to like 4 minutes screen time. So I had to cut down and make sure that the audience was getting all the information that they needed, and also keeping them engaged without having dialogue. I think that was the biggest challenge.
Yeah, it sounds like a huge challenge, definitely. Okay, cool. So, Sarum, if you would like to introduce yourself, and we'll go from there all the way through. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Soram Rastuladar, and I'm an actor from movie Ghar, Come Home. So it's a short movie of like 10 minutes. And this is basically about the story is basically about the, mother calling his immigrant son to come home at the worst of the pandemic, because she's a single mom and she's afraid of like his son. Okay, like he's not with me, so I don't know who can take care of him. So yeah, there were lots of challenges in this because we shot this in 24 hours, and there were more like coughing scene for me. I'm an actor, and there were more like coughing scene than dialogues.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have to practice like to cough a lot. And that was like one of the most challenging things, and I got sick because I cough a lot for 5 hours. Yeah,
it wasn't COVID, was it?
I'm sorry?
It wasn't COVID, was it?
No, it was not COVID, yeah. But like, because I got scratches, I have to cough a lot.
Yeah.
With no reason, and I got scratches, and for a week I have to do gargle and everything.
Oh, gosh.
Luckily, I didn't get COVID, so.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, great.
Hi, I'm Kirtana. I am the writer, director, producer. I wear multiple hats for the same movie, Ghar, Come Home. Like Saram said, we actually made this during the first lockdown. So it was trying to film in like April when things were completely shut down. Of course, trust was not something. I'm already a very non-trustworthy person where I just don't trust people on set. So to do it during COVID, I had to really make sure that I knew who was,
Is that the reason why you were late? Because you just weren't sure?
I know, I kind of, yes. I woke up with like the worst allergies, sore throat today. But I promise it's allergies. Well, yeah, because Austin is already so bad, and I know I can feel it getting worse now.
Oh, okay.
But I think the most challenging part was like the writing, the filming was not challenging. We filmed it for 24 hours and then we kind of benched it. So we sent it out, didn't really get much of a, a reaction, and we just benched it for a bit because we were so in that mindset of the way we wanted to make it within that 24 hours that we only made it for 7 at the first cut.
Yeah.
And finally, we kind of went back to the drawing board and said, you know what, we have all this footage, we might as well use it. So unlike Sarum, who actually had to almost die on set, which was incredible for me as a director, I'm like, die. That's okay. I need you to die. Just die.
He was actually dying.
Yeah, he was actually dying. Oh, there was a time. I mean, he's also my best friend. So there was a time where he's coughing so bad, and this is like 3:30 a.m. where we were filming, and I could just see his eyes tearing up. So my heart was just breaking for him as his friend. But here I am as a director. I was like, yeah, this is great. Keep going. Just die. So yeah, I think those are like challenges. And then going back to the editing board and getting it done and setting it out, and really not expecting the kind of results we have expected so far. So it's also been a very rewarding space. I think taking a break sometimes from the work you do and going back to it always is very rewarding too.
Yeah, definitely. Even though you do sound like a modern day Werner Herzog and Sarum is your Klaus Kinski. It's like,
he is. I mean, we're working on a different project next. We're working on it, like we're at the drawing board, going back to the basics. And it's always the same thing too. It's like, okay, now how can I kill you on set?
And Sarum's just not available right now. He can't. He's just so busy.
I know where he lives.
Okay, cool. So that's good. I think that the point of these focus groups, I was just sort of chatting off screen before we actually went live at 3:00. The main real reason that we get these focus groups together for our Liftoff festivals is to achieve the ultimate goal of us basically getting to know each other and understanding the issues that we all have as filmmakers, the opportunities that we may present to one another, because everybody in this group can probably help the other person out in some particular way, either through knowledge sharing or introductions or anything like that. You never know. And I know that there's that golden thread question of, I need to find a producer, that every single filmmaker seems to have. And I want to kind of start with that, because that's the thing that we always get the question of is, how do I find a producer? And I know that some of you may actually have that as a question yourselves, but I want to kind of flip that question a little bit and kind of ask you guys, like, what do you think is the most important thing about finding a producer? What do you think? What kind of methods, if you've ever found one before, what methods did you use to find one? And if you haven't found one, what do you think needs to be communicated to a potential producer to help you gain the kind of the resources that you require to make your next film? Is that a bit of a crazy question, or does that make sense? Has everyone got sort of an answer for that? We'll start with Ian. He looks the least convinced.
I know. Well, yeah. I mean, it's I'm just wrapping my head around a lot of that, because up to this point, so much, like, everything that so much of my work has been self-produced, and
Sure.
The producers I brought on have been my collaborators, and we essentially go to each other with ideas, and then from there we discuss how to make that happen. I guess, like, it's a tough question, because like my question has been like, kind of, where do I go from here? Because I'm super happy with the product of a show about coworkers and the reach that we've been able to get with this. And now the question for me has kind of become, how do I get that next person to help me out and invite them into this family of, like, offbeat weirdos, and either give us money or help us with ideas, or teach us, mentor us on how to continue to develop ourselves. So I'm definitely stuck asking a lot of these questions too, and I'm sorry I don't really have any good answers or anything eloquent to say on it.
No, it's interesting, because I think that when you get into that stage when you're producing yourself and you're discovering what a producer actually does, it becomes quite interesting to sort of I felt personally when I was making films that I felt way more connected to the production and the line producing side, as well as the financing aspect of it, than I did necessarily being on set directing. Even though I thought that was going to be my first go-to, it wasn't, and I was surprised by that. And I find that there are a lot of people out there that started as filmmakers or are actually in our current filmmaker teams right now that we don't even realize necessarily are the perfect producers. Maybe we've already identified these people and been like, God, you're so resourceful, you're so organized. Maybe you can help us find some funds. Maybe you can help us go and find some investors. Maybe you're the perfect salesperson to go and pitch something. Actors, sorry to pull you into this, Saram, but actors are very, very good at selling stuff. Very good. They sell themselves. So getting them to sell your pitch or to pitch for you on behalf of your project is a really good idea, because that can help you do things it can help you kind of like remove the you from the equation, which is always the problem, because we always get a little bit like, I can't sell this film because it's all about me and I'm going to be really scared about, what if they think I'm weird or whatever. But like, it's good when you get a team together to kind of make that happen. And using your friends, like Ian's just suggested, I think is a really good way of doing it. And you always see classic Hollywood, especially in comedy as well. The Ben Stillers, that they've got, and the Seth Rogans. It's all their friends. It's all their buddies that they've all met throughout the years that they keep with them. They keep making the same films together because they trust each other. Katriana, they trust one another. They believe in what each other are going to do. They know the kind of work that they're going to bring to the table, so they keep doing it. And they have the producers working in that sort of aspect, in that sort of capacity. Richard Linklater does it. Keeps the same people all the time, and it's a good. I think it's a good proven track record. So when people are saying like, I'm trying to find a producer, where are they? They might just be the person sat right next to you. You never know. And it's not the producer isn't the billionaire. The producer finds the billionaires. That's the key. They're the ones that figure out where to get the money, where to go to the Saudi prince, or where to go to Cannes and meet up with people that run the trade things and all that sort of stuff. It's all about that. It's not about the producer being like, how much do you want, and writing a check. They're the person that does the extra legwork to try and get the film funded effectively. In the grand scheme of things, I mean, there's billions of different jobs that producers do. That's why there's so many different types of producers. But ultimately, the ones that indie filmmakers tend to be looking for are the ones that bring the cash. And they're the ones that just look for cash. I remember watching this really fantastic workshop. I can't remember the name of the guy, but he was just like, really kicked people's asses. I don't know if any of you ever been to film school, or if you've been to drama school or anything like that. You always get this one tutor that just like kicks your ass from left to right all the time. And he's like, write to 1 million dentists. Write to every dentist. Every dentist wants to be an executive producer. Write to them. Just send them your script. Tell them you want $500, and then if you write to 5,000 dentists, you might get 5,000 times 500, which is what, Dave? Dave doesn't know. Okay, good. Neither do I. Phew. All right, cool. So, should we ask that question again to anybody else? We'll sort of fire it out. Dave, do you want to answer it, or should we move to anybody else who wants to answer it? Yeah, Dave, go for it.
In our case, we have self-produced, all of our films. We through freelance work that I've done editing. I've been an editor for 20 years, and so through freelance editing and some production we've done for some corporate things, we've actually self-funded, our short films, and been successul in that, and thankfully had the money we needed to be able to produce them. And we were, very frugal on the things we did, and we were. And Zane did an excellent job of finding locations for our first short film. And then plus, just the actors. We've kind of built this sort of small network of actors that we've worked with now, and they have friends who are actors, and they have friends who are actors. And through that, we've kind of built our, built the cast and things, and really just sort of by word of mouth, like, hey, these guys are great to work with, you should be in their next film, kind of thing. So that's really worked out well for us. Great.
Brilliant stuff. Well, it's a proven and tested method, isn't it? I think it's good. And what's been the you mentioned the funding, you founded funding. If you don't mind sharing at all, what's been the kind of the channels that you've been going down the most that have helped the most
Well, I mean, really, it's just been work we've done, for corporate clients, kind of thing. We've kind of been, we've done some work for a dental aligner company, and we've done some work for, hey, there's the dentists, and we've just done some work here and there to kind of build up funds to be able to produce the next one, and sort of we've done the same thing for this next one. We're actually shooting next weekend for our next short film.
Brilliant. So your profits are going into your passion projects, basically.
Absolutely. We're basically just kind of funding the next one.
Well,
and
that's exactly how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, not necessarily taking profits at this point, but hoping to build them and just fund the next one. And we still have our day jobs, and so we're just trying to continue to fund the next one and hopefully get it in front of enough people to build excitement and to see the quality of work we can do, and hopefully that that will build to bigger and better things.
Brilliant, Dave. Please keep in touch. Love to see what you keep doing. Well, all of you, the same thing, definitely. That sounds like a really exciting thing, because you've got a model which clearly works and it's enabling you to continually work, and that's the most important thing as an indie filmmaker, is prolific. You need to be constantly working. You need to be constantly developing, getting projects out there, concepting, doing things. All the filmmakers that we've ever encountered, from the production teams and the production companies like yourself, Dave, all the way through to like the independent filmmaker that's just doing it solo, the ones that tend to like make it in inverted commas from their own personal perspective seem to be the ones that are just always pushing the envelope and doing something more and trying to get everything better. Not just like in their own craft, but also in their production aspect. So like saying, right, okay, I've done a £10,000 or $10,000 short. I'm going to do a $15,000 short now, or I'm going to try and spend less but make the same thing. And just trying all that stuff out and trying to get a proven method that works for them. One of the things that really stuck out for myself and Ben, the co-founder of Liftoff, the other co-founder with myself, when we went to the Cannes Film Festival we did the producers course about 10 years ago, just before we started really taking off with Liftoff, pardon the pun. But when we got to a stage where we went to the Cannes Film Festival armed with zero knowledge whatsoever, and we learned so much about how people get things from the ground up, how people basically get films out there into audiences, and not a single one of the examples that we were given were ever the same. They were completely different. Everything from getting money, from finding actors, to producing, to getting released, to being introduced to the streaming platforms, to being theatrically distributed, for getting distributed on aeroplanes. It was all a different journey, and it was all so like it became very relevant to us that there was absolutely no like formula whatsoever. The only formula is just to keep making work and to keep trying to push it. So yeah, awesome. Emiliano?
Yes, well, just like Ian, my work was self-produced, so I really have no answer to that question. The producers of my short film was my mother, really, and
cool.
So yeah, it's a really, really low budget film. So
no, it's great. So
it's
great.
But I can say that maybe I did this film because I didn't have. I wanted to make other short films, live action short films, but I didn't have any producers, and so maybe you can help me with that answer. And also here in Mexico, the situation is really, really complicated. Sure, I don't know. In the US or in the UK, it's really easy to get a producer, but here in Mexico, it's really hard. So,
have you read the book Rebel Without a Crew by Robert Rodriguez?
No.
Read it.
No, but I know. I mean, I know the mariachi, right?
El Mariachi,
with
incredible story. He was set up in a very, not a super similar situation to you, but his aim was to try and sell to the Mexican VHS market, because it's dated, obviously, because it's the beginning of Robert Rodriguez's career, and it talks about how he self-financed everything by going to do medical experiments, which I don't advise anybody to do, but I definitely don't advise anyone to do that. Not even Sauron, because I'm like anyway. We'll move on from that. But basically, read the book, because it's so like. He was in a very sticky situation and was only had his family to rely on as producers, but he managed to somehow get himself out. And I think if you can get that that the inspiration from others in that sort of respect, that would be very, very good. Another thing as well would be to constantly work on your voice, constantly work on what your actual creative output is and what it's trying to be, so you can get a brand. Like if you put like two particular types of things together, one of them is a filmmaker or a writer, say Tim Burton for example, and another one is like a book, say I don't know, Cinderella. You put those two together, you know exactly what you're going to get, because he's got a brand and we know the story of Cinderella. So if you can Emiliano, if you can do something that gets you a proven brand, and you can say like, I did this all on my own. My mother was one of the producers, literally with no budget, but look at the stuff that I've done, and I'm getting better. I'm getting better at doing it for nothing. Many people are going to say, well, I wonder what this guy's going to do with $100,000. You know, but you have to get to that point first. You can't just be 1, 2, 3 that all seem the same. It needs to be constantly improving, and you need to have people that are outside of your network telling you that the work that you're doing is getting better and better. You know, people that don't have vested interest in your friendship telling you that's good. So the most harsh person that you know, maybe there's someone, I don't know, at a cafeteria, maybe there's somebody, I don't know, at work or whatever, that is constantly like, I don't really know, it's not very good. Show them your work all the time over the period, or look for these people, because the harshest critics are the best critics, and they'll be the ones that will really help you build. And I think that's so key, because it enables you to see the perspective of not just that person, but millions of other people as well. And if you can win that one person over, you can win over shed loads of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
of course.
I say go for it. I think just keep doing what you're doing, and get to a point where you're like, right, this is my body of work at this stage of my life, of where I am in this position, of not much resources, but you can see that I have progressed, and I'm ready to go to the next level. Whether that's getting into a really flipping and crazy, amazing film school somewhere on the other end of the planet, whether that's getting yourself in as a director into Hollywood, whatever that means. Whether that means just going to Austin and working on TV shows, whether that's getting an agent, whether that's doing whatever. You know, there's so many different options that are available to you, but you have to have a strong body of work in order to get yourself to that next stage. That's what we've noticed.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. And Byron. A great name, Byron. I love that. Such a strong name.
I'm also self-producing my own stuff or relying on my parents. As a student who's currently still in film school, I think I'm still trying to figure out, what avenues to take.
Do you guys touch on distribution at all at film school? Do you talk much about that?
Yes, we have some producing classes and stuff that do touch on them, but I think a lot of my peers are still like, like you said, there's so many different roads you can take on how to find producers or how to make it that it's sort of still up in the air no matter how much they can teach you.
Yeah, I mean, if you can do it all well, or if you can do it all to the best of your ability, then you'll be able to find people that can do it better than you. It's kind of like getting to know if you know all the jobs really well, or as well as you can possibly know them, then finding people. You've always got to say to yourself, right, is that person better than me at doing this? And if they are, then you bring them in. You know, it's kind of that's kind of the step, I think, the logical one anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. So what's the future hold for you after film school? What are you trying to achieve?
Well, I'm trying to become a film director, but obviously, I can't become that right away. So
you never know.
I'm gonna start off in story development. Currently, I'm working at an internship at a company here in Philadelphia where I am, called Keystone Pictures, and I'm working as a production assistant. And then I'm gonna kind of climb the ranks and meet people and colleagues, and hopefully build my network like that.
Have you? Is anybody currently watching this from your employment right now?
No, but I just plugged their companies, so.
Yeah, well, no, it's good because this isn't public live. This is just if you have the invite live. But we did encourage people to share the invite. But I just wanted to talk about this company that you're working for at the moment. Are they doing work that inspires you?
Oh yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
a very rewarding experience being on set and watching all these people who are obviously more knowledgeable than I am,
Yeah.
and I feel like every time I'm on set, I'm learning something new.
Great. Are you like an employee or are you a freelancer there?
Uh, Currently, it's through my school that I've gotten this internship. It's
Sweet.
called a co-op internship.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean it's kind of like freelance because like they're paying me, but it's also an internship if that
Okay,
makes
great.
sense.
Have you identified anybody there at that production company that you feel creatively connected to? That you think like you and that person like the same films, you like the same sort of content?
Yeah, I'm there with a fellow intern who also goes to my school, which I hadn't previously known before this internship.
Okay, sweet.
Also there's some camera operators there who have very unique styles that I particularly enjoy, and I always am chatting them up about their creative inspirations and such.
Great. Ask them to work on your next film.
I will do that.
You should. Just be like, look, listen, 3 hours of your time. I'll pay you in bacon sandwiches. Just can you please come and do this for me? I think you guys rock. Anything like that. If you ever get yourself into a situation where you're on a film set and there are people up there that are on the next level to you, you've got to find someone that you're creatively connected with, because then you can be genuine. You can be genuine about your needs and requires and desires, and they can mentor you and help get you to that next level. And if they're doing that, then they're the type of person that will move up as you move up, and then before you know it, they're up there as a cinematographer, and they're your cinematographer for the rest of your days, and you're just like, this is sick. I'm just making amazing work, and they're my dude, and this is it. I mean, it's really, really important. I think I know that there's a saying in Los Angeles where when they first meet you, they ask you what you do before they ask you what your name is, and that's a myth. It's not true, but it exists for a reason, and I think that like it can be tricky networking when you're in that kind of environment, because you're kissing ass and you're trying to make friends because you're trying to get something from them. But if you flip it on the fact that you're actually genuinely interested in working with people that inspire you because you're going to be learning from them, and you're creatively connected, you'll find that you'll both be saying things like Monty Python lines randomly, or doing whatever it is that you're connected with creatively. And then when it comes to asking them if they want to be in your film in whatever capacity, it will be their pleasure to be. So it's that you've got to create that kind of environment. So it's really good to kind of be in that situation. They always said to us at drama school that we should never become background artists, never become extras. And I completely disagree with that, because I think that like as actors, this is from a previous life of mine, being on set is so important, because you're there all the time and you're meeting people all the time and you're enabling yourself to kind of go up the run of that ladder, and you never know what might happen. So yeah, just Byron, every day's an opportunity while you're working there, definitely.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you'll take it by the horns. And have they seen your work?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Just be like taking a massive widescreen iPad one day and just be like, I'm just watching the what's that? This this is my film. That could work. It could work. They've all been in the same position as you. Everybody has in that environment, right? Unless there's some crazy nepotism involved, but they've all been there. So just I'm like you are. I'm like you 5 years ago. Give me a break. Show me what you've done. I'd love to see your work. I bet they've all got passion projects as well, and I bet they'd love your feedback. That kind of thing. Maybe you don't need this kind of information, but it's stuff that we've learned that we think works.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay, sweet. All right. Who's next?
Can I add something to that? Because Byron, I went to school. This is going to date me, but I went to school in Philly as well, to film school in Temple.
Okay. Yep.
So you're lucky that you have production classes, because we had no production or distribution classes at that time. It was just filmmaking and film studies and silent film for like 4 hours long, which was great because you really had to use your mind and you had to stay awake because you had to write a paper about it, and it was graded. But you're lucky. So take those classes, because trust me, I had to like take a huge break and learn it all on my own.
Wow.
And it's not fun.
No.
So Yeah, so and then just kind of trying to find a class that suits. So if you can do it, just take extra credit, go for it, learn whatever you can.
Yeah.
That's something I would suggest because, yeah, that's lucky to have that because I didn't have that.
We've totally noticed that as well. We've totally noticed that with so many filmmakers coming through from film school. That's why I asked the question, because there's so many film schools that don't teach about distribution. No one has a clue that you can sell your film to the airlines, for example.
Exactly.
And there's no barrier of entry. You just approach them. You just go to Lufthansa Airlines and you say, "Here's my short film. Do you want to buy it?" And they go, "Yeah, here's $5,000."
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't need to learn about how to make a film in bullets, Like, why did I have to learn how to make a film in 16 bullets?
Yeah, right.
I'd rather learn how to write it properly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cool.
But we didn't have that, so you're lucky.
Yeah, so Kirtana, could you and Sarum, could you both kind of answer this question together, I guess, about the idea of producing and finding producers and stuff?
So I self-fund my films, and currently we're looking at like the other films that I've been working on. It's more like crowdfunding.
Yeah.
So doing a lot of like crowdfunding work, but I know Sarum has had, because I mean Sarum's like an actually well-established actor from Nepal.
Cool.
Who's had a couple of really good feature films. I know he's had more experience of actually working with very large production budgets. And it's kind of funny because he calls someone and, so anyone he calls around, they're like, "Oh, yeah, what are you doing next? Or how can I put money into you?" So I think what you said, like, he sells for himself. So if you find someone like that, grab them and don't let them go. So I've been lucky that way. But other than that, I know it's the same grind, reaching out to people, selling yourself, selling the story. I was working on a project in India, which has now, of course, fizzled out, but trying to sell the story that is uncomfortable to make people comfortable to relate to is another. They're like, "Oh, yeah, I love the script. The story is great." But when it comes to shedding the money out, then it's just like, well, I don't know if I really want to put my name to this. So even like really trying to find that kind of people who are okay with being a part of controversy. I mean, I'm by now, as you probably already know, I'm a pretty difficult person in terms of I like uncomfortable stories and very difficult situations. Put my actors through grinds, try to almost nearly kill them. So I'm very Hitchcockian that way. Just kidding.
Okay.
But it is very interesting how people are. They're willing to work with you, but not necessarily are they okay with the story either.
Okay.
So finding the right people with the story is also very important.
Okay. Sarum, could you mute your mic if that's okay? We're getting feedback off you if that's all right.
Yeah, like you said, I'm like there are like a couple of points you said like about the producer. Though the first thing is, I was with Kirtana. I know she was a filmmaker and she was giving me feedbacks and everything about my acting and everything. And I didn't know she was the producer. Like she's gonna be producer of one of my movie. I didn't know about that. I met her like 3 years ago, but I didn't know like she's gonna produce my one of my movie. So which is really cool. And she's she's kind of like my mentor. She gives me feedback every time. Okay, I don't like this. Like I've been an actor in Nepal. It's a different country. In Nepal, like I had played like big, huge movies, commercial movies and everything. The problem in there is like it's influenced by Bollywood movies. It's totally influenced by Bollywood movies. And the lead actors should be, you should be perfect in everything. Mm-hmm. So lead actor knows everything. The concept is like the lead actor should know everything.
Yeah.
And here, like, it's kind of like I'm a hero. It's not like I'm an actor.
Yeah.
Now, coming here and going to film school and like meeting many people here it's going to be like, okay, you have to develop some kind of character in an acting. It's not only dancing or fighting or doing a romance, but also coughing, so you can cough and so you're acting. It's kind of like that. And in my country, finding a producer is like, it's easy. But the problem there is like the producer, they want to come in front of the camera. Or they want their big banner name in the movies. Yeah. So that's kind of challenging because the filmmaker, maybe they don't want to do that, you know.
Sure.
So, yeah, and that's the big challenges in Nepal, like finding producer from my country. But here, I also like to be in an like creative team of the movie. So I'm like working with Kirtana in a like creative team as well. I like that, so that I can know more about my character, about the movies, and also I can hear them like they're trying to find a producer and everything, and that's really challenging here because the producer you're finding is like you really need to show your work. You know, it's not like, okay, I'm going to show you in my movie so that you can put some money in it. It's not like that here. It's like you really need to show your good script, your past work, you know, and good presentation. So I think, yeah, that's the big challenges here. And I think if you are like good on it, then it's easy to find producer.
Interesting. Kirtana, just talking about what you were saying with the with having challenges trying to find certain people that believe in the work, and Sarah, with what you're saying about how it works in Nepal with the producers want their names sort of up in lights and all that kind of thing, or they want to put their stamp on the film. Talk to me about the challenges of the people that you're trying to find at the moment. Talk to me like what's been the kind of examples of you don't need to name any names, but what have you presented and what's been rejected at this stage?
And we are working in like next project right now.
Yep.
I'm in a creative team with Kirtana. So Kirtana is producing the next movie, not like producing, but like she's trying to find producer in it.
Yeah.
So so the challenges with me is like I reached out to a couple of Nepali people.
Yep.
So they want their face in the movie, and that's not possible because this movie is like there are not much character.
Yeah.
And like showing extra character is like it doesn't give, you know, like it doesn't give sense to that script.
Sure.
So that's the challenge. That's why we don't want those people in that movie. And some of the producers, they want to be in the set. And it's not like Nepal. Like in Nepal, they come in the set and like people respect them, saying, "Oh, you are a producer." They say, "Yeah, I'm a producer." You know, like giving a big talk kind of thing. But it's not gonna happen here.
Okay.
So we need to really focus on script and movie making.
What's the kind of content that you guys are trying to create?
So going back to the original point that you had, and then I'll continue with this part. So I think I'm very passionate about bridging gaps in terms of storytelling. You know, we come from a certain part of the world. I was born here, but I have Nepal, I have India in me. So, you know, because I was raised in two different countries. So it's always about how do I tell stories that align and bridge those gaps.
Yeah.
Every time someone thinks about the Eastern world, it's always about, oh yeah, Bollywood, let's dance. You know, including the new Eternals. Like if you've seen the trailer, you see, you know, Kumail just dancing, and I was like, all right, great, thanks for stereotyping that again.
Yeah.
But I think that's always. But there's so many stories with 1.8 billion people. And then you look at Nepal, and you look at Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and all the 8 different South Asian countries. There's so many layers to that. So to me, not only those layers, but also bringing the very niche stories, the uncomfortable stories that people are not willing to talk about, that are not willing to be shared because it might be controversial in terms of either politically speaking or gender specifically speaking. Might be. So those are things that I always like to play around with.
Right. Cool.
In terms of now bringing it to the current project that we're working on, it is definitely about an immigrant living here, you know, with all the South Asian hatred that's happening in this world right now, mainly in the US.
Yeah.
So it does touch upon the subject line of like that kind of South Asian hatred, does touch upon the subject line of parental relationships with their children, because again, you know, every parent is different, but we also have that kind of stereotype of terms of like South Asian parents are very assertive and very possessive,
Okay.
and always are trying to push the next steps. So trying to use that as well. We haven't looked for funding yet for that film. We're still working on that one, because I'm just in the development work. But right now, we're probably going to look more in the lines of grants. At least originally speaking, since it is in the development stage.
Okay.
So that's going to be more, we're going to take that path of like more scholastic of grants and fundraising than going and finding investors.
Have you thought have you thought about the news networks at all? Like the indie news like Vice and people like that? Would that work? Something like
that would actually, that would work very well, because that's the kind of story bridging. I mean, I'm like obsessed with Vice, so
Vice is,
it's the best thing out there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But I think they do and I think that is one of the reasons. I think Vice is actually a pretty big influence in my storytelling life as well.
Okay,
it's because there's so much realness to it.
There's another company that's similar to Vice. I keep trying to rack my brains over who they are, but I can't remember the name of them. But they're very similar to Vice. They're up and coming. They're doing a lot of Vice stuff. I think like, do you follow Vice on YouTube?
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay, good. Vice follows other companies that are like Vice. And they would I would contact everybody on the Vice subscription list.
Do the dentist thing.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, they are. Sorry about this. I've got this massive hornet in here that keeps flying around my head. It is huge. I'm not joking. Like, this is the biggest wasp I have ever seen. And it just keeps flying around. And I'm just, every time I say the word Vice, it just wants to get closer and closer. So I'm like,
it's not a fan.
Terrifying. Terrifying.
It might be. It's like this big. I'm not even joking. I might even
Are you sure it's not a drone?
See if I can get a camera on it for a second. See if you can see. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can point this. It might just be like, oh, that's just a dot. But hang on, let me see. See that in the corner on that light over there?
Oh, wow.
See that light there? That's a giant wasp. Right there. And
that's huge.
It is massive.
Good luck.
Live TV. So if I suddenly like start going,
nice meeting you. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice meeting you guys.
Well, I guess as method actor, you can do is you really use that to your advantage.
We've got we've got some of the staff watching this live, so I'm just going to send this out there if they're still watching it. Come in here and open the windows, guys, and save me. The windows need to be opened over there. Save me, Clara.
Emiliano's cat heard there's a hornet and came to the rescue. Hey, you're miles apart.
It's out again. It's up again. It's flying around. Where is it? Anyway, yeah. So there's oh my good God, it's right there. It is huge. I wouldn't. It's like the first day of summer here, pretty much. Not the first day of summer necessarily, but like it's a very hot day, and we're all the bugs are out, and this one is just the biggest thing, right above my head. Horrible. Right, I think I'm going to sort that out quickly. I tell you what I'll do, which will be really good while I sort this out. I'm going to go and open these windows up and get this thing out of here so no one dies, aka me. And then you guys, I want you all to discuss each other's films, because you've all seen them, haven't you, right? Okay, cool. So I'm just going to quickly go and do that now, get this window open and get this bloody thing out of here. Oh my God, it is massive. It's right above my head. Okay, cool. Have fun. I'll be back in 2 seconds. And then we'll open up to the chat room and do a Q&A.
This is like the cat video right now. This is going to be a great blooper someday.
Wouldn't it just? Yeah, it's perfect.
We're more entertained just watching you dodging the hornet.
Oh my good God. Right,
okay, I'm terrified for you.
Thank you. So you should be. It's massive. Right, okay. I'm just going to mute my mic. All right, guys. Have a good one. Speak to you in a second. I'll be back in 2 secs. If I survive. Okay, 2 seconds.
Okay, I've got a question. Emiliano, how did you come up with the idea for your film?
Okay, so 2 years ago I was on film school, and they gave us the picture of the girl holding the mannequin, and so they told us to write a short story about 2 paragraphs about what happened during, before, during, and after the photograph. And so everybody in my class went for the story of the girl, which is the logical thing to do, of course. And so I went for but I started writing the story for the girl, but it just didn't work for me. And so I did the story of the mannequin. And so years later, I was trying to make short films. I was trying to make live action short films, but something went wrong. Always something went wrong. And so I didn't have, enough money. The crew wasn't professional enough.
Yes. Oh my God.
And so I said,
God,
I'm going to make a short film where I just, self-produced by me, act by me, written by me, to do it, because I wanted to do film and I couldn't make it. And so I told my sister, I'm going to make so I went for I used a photograph. I used the story of the mannequin. So I just did it a little bit, I elongated, and that's where the idea came about. So I really wanted to make a short film with no budget, and a documentary is very, very cheap. And so yeah, that's where the idea came about. And I didn't know it was going to be a comedy, but I just did it. I mean, I wrote it in like a week, I think, the script. I shoot it like in a month, and that's the answer.
That's super creative.
Yeah, thank you. Hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
I love how you said it's the logical thing to do. But I didn't, of course, with
Hi,
I
guys.
mean,
Sorry, I'm just
Oh, no.
calling in to say that James is not exaggerating. I've never seen anything like this before. So I've got some paper. We're going to try and get it out the room. Natalie and I were next door being like, what's he talking about? Why is he getting so worked up over a wasp or a bee? But it's bloody massive. So yeah, just give us another 2 minutes. We're going to try and get this out.
All right.
Good luck.
Good luck.
I wish they'd focus the camera on them while they're like running around.
Yeah.
That would be entertaining.
Oh yeah.
And Dave, where did you get the idea for the short film?
Well, actually, Zane, my partner, wrote it, and he really the first film, Bending in the Wind, was an actual experience from his job, basically, where this homeless kid just kind of showed up on the front step of the church he was working at the time, and the interaction they had, and I mean, he was just thrown out by his family, basically, and so then we wanted to kind of turn this into a series where sort of each film we followed another person from the film. So the first one was really focused on kind of the homeless kid, and then this guy that was the worker at the church. Well, then we took basically his story, and we want to develop, kind of why he felt the way he did and interacted the way he did with the homeless kid. And so, each story kind of builds on that, and it shows kind of why they interacted the way they did. And so this next film, basically, at the very end, is the kind of caseworker, and the next film will be about her and kind of how she interacts with people and why she is the way she is, kind of thing. And so we'll go from there. And it's we've developed a title for the series. It's going to be called Woven, kind of the idea that the stories are all sort of woven together.
Okay, excellent, perfect.
That actually answered my question, because I was going to ask if you could tell us what the next one was about. So happy to hear that.
Yeah, and it's kind of about her and her father, who has the beginnings of Alzheimer's, and kind of the idea that she's kind of bitter about the way he was, but also still wanting that relationship with him as he's starting to lose his memories and things like that.
Okay.
You are brave.
She always is. I'm trying to push it.
So what's next for everybody?
So everybody's staring at each other, yeah. All right. Actually, I don't know if you have seen Ghar Out, Come Home.
Yes.
So, have you seen that?
Yes.
Okay, so what's the feedback, honestly?
Well, I think it's like one of the fears everybody had during the pandemic, and like everybody, because I don't know in the US how the pandemic was, but here in Mexico it was really, really, really tough. And luckily, none of my family members died. And but I know that fear because I think everybody had that fear. And I'm a young person in Mexico, and so I couldn't just keep myself in home. So going out and going to parties or going to meet some friends, just like you have this internal fear. And also my father is like he's 60 years old, so he could happen something terrible to him if he got COVID. So that film really represents that fear, and that's my feedback. I felt it.
Yeah. I think this story really related to a lot of people, especially, a lot of the international students here in the U.S., I think, felt a lot of that same, type of separation. We have some friends too that are missionaries in other countries, and, that sort of idea that, their family wants them to come home, that they're hoping that they can come home, but, there's no sort of escape is, kind of the word, you can't leave the place where you are and be with those that you love. And I thought, kind of the dream sequence there early on where, she's kneeling on the floor and he comes over to her and it's like she's, either dead or, and then he makes the call. It's like, are you okay? That idea that I think a lot of people had that fear that their loved ones would be, not there when they got home, or, not, that something would happen to them while they were away or to their loved ones. And I think that, part of the story really resonated.
That's right. Yeah. Actually, like my dad and mom, I'm the only son, and my dad and mom is in Nepal. So they fear this every time. Like I'm here in America and they call me every time and do this. That's how Kirtana got inspired to write this script. Mm-hmm. So she wrote this script about come home, Ghar Out. Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that, guys.
Yeah.
You're still alive.
So
it went okay, I guess.
That was a wasp worthy of the front cover of National Geographic.
Ian's just out.
That's a good thing.
I went into the girls next door, and Claire came and sat in, didn't she? Because I was like, you need to see the size of this thing, just so you know that I'm not completely and utterly some big coward. And they were like, oh my god, it's huge, but it's gone. Thank goodness, we got it out the window. So it's alive and it's safe, and hooray! Cool. So bring me up to speed, guys. What were we all chatting about?
We were just kind of talking about each other's films and the things we found interesting about them.
Perfect. And what would you say so far, being involved with Austin Liftoff? What would you say so far has been one of the highlights to actually being a part of this festival? And is there anything that you would say that we need to work a little bit more on, or anything like that for future stuff? Full disclosure, we need feedback.
Well, to eliminate hornets in the room.
Yeah, keep the windows closed when you're doing live screenings. That would be good. That makes sense.
But overall, I've enjoyed being a part of it and seeing the feedback of what people are looking for, and I thought that forum was really good to just kind of read through and see that people are having the same struggles that you are, and because funding is always difficult. We were very lucky with our feature that we produced, that we got distribution right away on it. And so that was really awesome. But, we haven't had that luck so far with our shorts. And, we're hoping to build, kind of a full series and really be able to put it out there and show this is what we can do, and hope to build on that in the future, and to see that other people are, doing the same things, that they're trying to, build on what they've done and continue to push out there, I think is encouraging for all of us.
Perfect. Anybody else want to wade in with something there?
Yeah, I think I love that, because I'm also kind of on the membership side.
Yeah.
So I love the continuous conversations, and then you're getting to actually connect with everyone from all over the world, in lack of better terms.
Yeah, excellent.
So I think that's I really highly encourage, if you're not a member yet, actually going and getting it. So do you need a new advocate? Just kidding.
Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and because I'm on both, I'll look at the festival hub and I'll look at the member hub, and there's always. I love that you guys are always posting jobs, and it's not flaky jobs, because
we're trying to find the good shit. Yeah, that's that.
Yeah, they're good stuff.
Yeah, good.
Just that there's a lot of animation stuff and not line production.
Yeah.
Just
we have a staff member that's literally chained to their desk, just constantly refreshing a million tabs, trying to find, just literally just crawling through the internet trying to find stuff. I'm glad you mentioned
it's really
that.
Cool.
It's really difficult, because as a business, and as a film festival that operates in this particular environment of having to charge for submission fees, that's always been something that we've tried to try and stop. Film festival attendance is a major problem. It's really hard to get film festival attendees, so that's why Audience Choice Awards have to exist, because without Audience Choice Awards, filmmakers would never invite anybody. It's just the way that it is. It's so flipping frustrating, but hopefully with the people that get invited, they come, they see the content, the fantastic content that you guys are making, and they get inspired to go to another film festival off their own bat. That's the kind of the top-down attitude that we have for that. But also as well, the submission fees is something that we've always felt a little bit weird about. So because we don't, I remember when I first started submitting to festivals and being hang on a minute, I've got to pay $60 to submit my short film to Sundance, and then it's $140 at the end of it for the final deadline. And how many shorts did they screen last year? 30. I'm just hey, this doesn't make any sense. How am I gonna be able to get any exposure from this? I'm paying them a competition fee effectively. So for us, it's always been tricky. We're trying to work out how we can survive as a business, but also offer value, and at the same time not piss anybody off by giving them absolutely nothing for their submission fee and absolutely nothing for their audience and nothing for everything else. So we're trying all the time. The Festival Hub is this new endeavor for us doing it, because we did have some very honest feedback by some very frustrated filmmakers when we first entered the whole liftoff model. Online especially, and we were this is tough, we need to work this out and get this right. And we already had the membership, but it's trying to not be a paywall, and at the same time make enough money so we can exist, but at the same time help filmmakers, and at the same time screen as much work as possible and introduce new audiences. So we're always open for feedback and suggestions.
I mean, that being said, the price point in comparison to other festivals is very attractive.
Oh, good.
I seeing that price point and being okay, I can submit to all of these festivals, knowing that okay, I'm supporting you guys, but there's but yeah, that was definitely attractive. And then just to get the full experience of this hub, the hub is super special to me, because no, I have not met another film festival thus far that's doing that kind of engagement. And I think that engagement can go a long way.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Well, that's exactly it. We're trying to make that as much as big as we possibly can. And the idea is that hopefully you'll stay with us as we move into Tokyo Liftoff. And then regardless of whether you get selected for Tokyo Liftoff or not, you're still part of the experience, and you come through even more, and it's all there, and you're still there, and there's more people. And what we're trying to do is we're focusing on, at the moment, we're putting out posts that focus on the filmmaker. So the last post that we put out was all about shameless expose. What are you looking for? What do you want? And then the next post that we're going to put out just towards the end of Austin Liftoff is what can you actually bring? What are you able to offer other people? And that could be anything, like a cup of coffee in New York. That could be like a chat on a Skype call with someone that's maybe looking to break into screenwriting, someone that's find it difficult to do self-production stuff, anything like that. And you can just read the comments that come in, post your own, and see if there's anything there that you feel like you could add value to. And if you do that, and we're encouraging you to, if you do that, then maybe yours will get answered as well, and we can start that process of really actually genuinely building an industry at this level, because there isn't one, but there's so much content and hardly any audience. We need to try and like get that going, and the only way that's ever going to start, the only way that Netflix and Amazon and Disney Plus and all these new streaming services are going to start listening to indie filmmakers is when we start saying to them that there is actually an audience for it. And I believe strongly that the audience for indie film are indie filmmakers. And there's hundreds of thousands of indie filmmakers out there, hundreds of thousands. And we can, if we all engaged with each other's work, and if we all skipped across the first page of Netflix and went to the actual indie content every once in a while and watched it and told our friends about it, then eventually that will happen. There won't just be a movie, there'll be a Netflix section for indie film, which there kind of is, but it's not prominent enough. And I think that it's important that we start doing that, because the work that we're creating is great. Micro budget features, they're good. You know, Tangerine, stuff like that. Like they come through every now and then, but there's loads of these examples that never see the light of day. We're always gobsmacked whenever we see the Oscar nominations, because we're always like, we've got like easily 4 or 5, maybe 6 films in our back catalogue that we screened last week that are better than these. Like, it's crazy, because for whatever reason, certain films are getting the light of day and others aren't. And I think that's because, and I don't want to make this sound like a stab at filmmakers or anything, but I think filmmakers don't do enough to support filmmakers. There's not enough peer-to-peer existence, helping each other kind of like be the audience. Like, it's like, I'm trying to find my audience. It's like, well, everybody here is your audience. You know, and it's important to be the audience as well, and have that responsibility on yourself, I think. I hope that message is clear. It seems a bit weird, but it's important for us, I think, to understand that the market is us, and once we get ourselves into that area, we can do it. Like Claire's just saying now in the chat room, she's saying create the supply and demand. It's exactly that, create the supply and demand. I mean, we love watching films. I mean, how many times have you guys been to festivals where your film's been screening and you've watched a few films and you've just gone like, I want to make a film again? You know, like, I'm feeling it right now. Like, there's about 3 or 4 films that I love watching that make me want to get back to producing. And that's Jodorowsky's Dune, brilliant film. Great documentary about filmmaking when a film never got made. I highly recommend everyone watch that. Jodorowsky's Dune. The poster for it's right behind this banner. Gosh, what else? Any of you other guys got other films that really inspire you to make films that you always watch, that you're just like, oh, I've got to get out there, back to the wild?
It's really funny, but there's like Get Duped. It's on Prime right now. There's something about that movie. It's just so indie, so raw, so weird, and very Austin. Cool. It's also about like 4 boys coming of age, walking around the Highlands of England.
Oh, cool.
It's just bizarre, but you just get so influenced by it. Yeah, it's really funny. I mean, to me, it's really funny. It's quirky. It's weird. It's everything that you can, but just the cinematic, the whole thing. And I like to watch, after watching the films, I like to watch behind the scenes and how do they make it? Because I'm always like curious about how and why. And it's beautiful to see teenage boys that are willing to go the extra mile in rain, shine, fog, cold, just because the director and the crew members were just so good with what they did.
Wow.
And we're encouraging, and you know, so it's really nice to see that. So
it sounds like The Revenant meets Stand By Me.
Yeah, it really is. It's so bizarre. It is so bizarre. It's very spoofy in a weird way, but I can't, I don't even know how to explain it, but there's a couple of just monologues and I'm also I love weird monologues.
Yeah.
And if it's delivered right, then it just sticks with you. So, there's a couple of things where you just kind of just blurt out. I've watched that movie like 7 times, unfortunately. But it just like plays in the background. It's great all the time. I also wanted to thank you for having probably one of the best response times, because there are times when I've had issues, just technically speaking, where I couldn't like log into the hub, and immediately I get a response within a few hours itself.
Oh, really?
And kind of guiding me. Yeah,
Gosh,
it's kind of
we've
amazing.
been slated
so
for having a poor response time recently, so we're trying to.
Maybe I'm just one of the lucky ones.
We're trying to pull our socks up on that one. So no, it's good. I'm glad you're having that experience. I'll mark that down on my little sheet to say to the staff later on. That's good. Just having a little look at the chat room here now. We've got Authentic in the chat room. I know this is Phil Dunn, one of our very beloved filmmakers, who's currently getting a film sort of produced into a packaged idea. We won't go into too much detail because I'm sure there's an NDA involved, but possibly taking it to the Cannes film market, then definitely to AFM. And he's just wanted to wade in with some wonderful pearls of wisdom here, saying Rodriguez totally just got on with it. He didn't wait for anyone to give him permission to make his films. He made films and let them do the talking. Really, really cool. He also said a message to Byron, why not, Byron? You can direct right now. Yeah. And he said, similar to Dave, my team was making corporate work for clients, and then I made my own films on the side. The real leap was just to flip that and talk to that same team about making my films. The hard part now is keeping the money coming in. So as we make these films, we are looking for partners / funding sources outside of the client jobs. So we're transitioning, I guess. Yeah, amazing. And then he goes on to give me some information about the wasp attack. This is about to turn into a wasp horror film. He didn't turn his mic off. Whoops. There's a dog involved now. Oh, sugar. I didn't realise I didn't turn my mic off. Yeah, well, there we go. Very interesting stuff. It's cool to have people in the chat room kind of swinging in with ideas and things. It's really cool. Guys, when we do this again, I would love for you to be either in the chat room or join us again or whatever it is. Please, now we all know each other's faces, let's continue the conversation in the festival hub. It's really cool. If you're thinking about membership, become a member. No, I'm joking. You don't need to become a member. But if you're thinking about it, check it out. It's a really great way to kind of get us closer to you, and just to sort of, we're moving into concept development ideas for next year. Well, for the back part of this year going into next year, all part of membership, free submissions to all of our festivals, yada, 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 yada. But also the free side, the festival hub aspect of it, still remain in there. Please still engage with us. And it's been an absolute honor to have you guys here today. It's been really cool, and I can't wait to see what you guys do next. Really cool.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much for having us.
We'll log
Thank
off
you
now.
so much.
Fun. Thank you, guys. All the very best. And if you're going anywhere, safe travels. And look out for those wasps. Bye,
Bye.
Take care, guys. All the best.
Bye, everybody.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.